Hey babes, welcome to the fucking developer commentary of Chungo's Gauntlet. Uh, there's a lot to say about this game for sure. Uh, these intros and everything, there's a lot of stuff to explain about that. Because there's a few things that are like inherent references to some previous non-fan games I made. Some that you don't really need to know, because that's kind of how I made this game. But essentially what you need to know is that I made two games before this one called Chungo Kong and Chungo Kong 2. They weren't fan games. I would not consider them I Want to Be the Guy fan games because they have much slower controls. They have no double jump ever. They just have traps, and kind of that's it. They're really short games, and I would not call them I Want to Be the Guy fan games because they're just not that. They just don't have that level of anything. But those two games, I made those before. They were pretty popular amongst my IRL friends. And I kind of was feeling bad at the moment, so I was like, what if I made the third one? And I named it Chungo's Gauntlet because I figured a problem I bumped into when making Chungo Kong 2 was that who the fuck wants to play a game that has 2 in the title without playing the first one? And who wants to even... Yeah, it was very derivative of the first one and featured a lot of just references that you wouldn't really get. So I figured this game should be a completely new start. So that's why there's a cutscene intro that essentially explains all the plot of the previous games. Also, the previous games are not good. I would not recommend playing them. I had not yet grasped a solid sense of humor yet. There's really the references in those games are dated as fuck today. With this game, I made sure not to have references be dated like that. So yeah. Also, the companies, the fake companies that appear at the start, those are a thing left over from Chungo 1 and 2. Because I needed to have some form of I just wanted to have that in because I think it's pretty funny to have fake companies that are absurd. Yeah. So that's the title screen. The logo is the Ghosts and Goblins logo, but I made it say Chungo's Gauntlet. I made that sprite edit myself. I think I did a pretty good job. And yeah. Was there anything else I wanted to say before I actually start? Let's just start. I'll get back to it if I have an idea. This wasn't my first game to ever include saving. This game was in a lot of ways a way to learn how to code better. Also, every boss in every stage intro features a reference to the boss. But yeah, also for this playthrough, I'll mention if something is a reference to the previous games, but it's pretty subtle. I didn't want this game to be a game where you had to know previous games to know shit. So that's not a thing you have to worry about. But yeah, this sign was in Chungo 1, and I kind of just decided to reuse it because I needed a little tutorial. I'm pretty proud of this little one-screen tutorial because it pretty easily explains the controls. Ducking is a thing I added because someone played Chungo 2 and thought they could duck because we were previously playing Smash Bros. And another friend was like, "You should add that to your next game." And I was like, "Sure, I'll add that. I'll think of adding that." So I did, and it was kind of surprisingly easy to code. And I like the idea of having a squashed sprite like this. I could have easily probably made it Mario-like, where you duck under your hat, but I was like, no, you're squashed in this. Yeah. So here's the first level, the first trap. So I wanted the previous games, the previous Chungo games also had game over things. Again, they weren't. I again tried to make these as timeless as possible. So I used memes that were at least a few months old, but still funny to me. So yeah, one of them is Stuff, who's a doctor diagnosing you with cardiac arrest. One of them is Cranky's advice. And clearly you should have just dodged that. That's my favorite one, honestly, because some of my friends still quote that to this day, and I think that's pretty fun. Also, the Cranky's advice game over is sort of a homage to Five Nights at Fuck Boys, which is a RPG Five Nights at Freddy's game that exists. And the game over screen for that is literally this frame of Cranky, and he just says "Get good." And that was eventually added as the lore to those games. But yeah, that's a funny little thing. The last thing is the Garfield "You're not immune to propaganda" thing. I just added that because I figured it was funny, and also it's somewhat of a meme. I feel like it is a meme on Tumblr, and Tumblr memes don't really die as bad as other memes. Anyway, here's Trollface, which I was fucking scared would not become funny, the whole troll joke. Yeah. I am very scared of oh, this is a good sound effect from a Pilot Red Sun video. I'm incredibly scared of using memes too much to the point that that's my whole identity. I want to be my own person too, but I'm such a sucker for using memes because I need to make myself laugh when I'm making this. I need fun stuff in it. Anyway, there's the Angry Video Game Nerd. Chungo 1 featured the Nostalgia Critic, so I figured it would be... My friend was like, you should put the Angry Video Game Nerd in the next one, and I was like, yeah, sure. So that's pretty great. Alright, here's this level. Also, the trap sounds are this one is the sampled from a Caretaker song, and it's this noise music track which samples a fucking radio interview from the 20s. It's a great sound. I also use the I Want Bark sound because that's a great sound, and I like using great strange sounds for traps because that's very fun. The reason Spamton is in here, but it was because I thought it would be really funny to just have Spamton Neo in full animation appear. It took a while to make, but I think it was worth it because people are like, what the fuck, that is just entirely Spamton doing one of his attacks. It was somewhat difficult. I didn't have of course didn't have the animation files because I'm not Toby Fox, but I did just find the sprites. And then I tried to the best of my ability to recreate the fucking beam attack animation, with just a video as reference. I think it ended up pretty good. Also, the sound of shooting is really fucking low because it happens a lot, so I didn't want it to drown out all the audio. This is a screen this was a joke I liked. This is kind of funny. This is literally a joke I wanted to, there's a few traps that are, ideas I have had for a long time to put in a trap game, and a Death Grips trap with stars cloning like that was, something I'd always thought of, because it's kind of similar to, the fucking video for Guillotine, where, there's these white dots everywhere, so I figured that would make a lot of sense. This part of the mountain kills you if you don't pick up the gun. That's a fun little fact. You pick up the gun, and it says gun. Oh yeah, this game is I put a bunch of... Another few coding challenges, putting the weapon loaded and having it actually do that was a little challenge for myself. Also, having the audio not reset on every screen was also a bit of a challenge for this game, a little code challenge, because I didn't know how to do that in any of my previous games, so it would be kind of jarring to have music resets on every single screen. Anyway, you can shoot this guy, and he makes the grunt sound effect from the Bros Mario bootleg. Here is the first boss. That is the Shepherd character, which is from a game called Dolly I previously worked with a friend on. which is also not a fan game. That's like a boss rush game where you have a dodge roll. Anyway, I put it in because I wanted to make my friends laugh at this boss appearing. And yeah, I drew that entire sprite and tried to like use the style I used for that game. Like I literally had to relearn how to draw in a style from a previous game just to make a funny little goofy shock expression. The Necroarch boss is fun. This GIF is like 10 million images. Oh yeah, the Cranky's Advice Wingdings thing. I wanted to have a rare chance for that to happen because without context, it's really funny to get in completely indecipherable text. But yeah, if you actually translate the Wingdings, it says like skill issue. Should have gotten Brimstone because I was playing a lot of Isaac when I made this. Anyway, I made the Necroarch boss because a friend sent me a video of Necroarch dressed like this, and the like dubious creature guy was like reacting to it. The original was like a cat with like demon horns or something. This boss was like I had to actually remake the drip Necroarch picture because the one in the video was slightly cropped off, so I had to find like the fucking that specific jacket and like the hat and shoes and stuff. The jacket was kind of hard because that specific image that was used in the original edit wasn't like easy to find. Also for this boss, like I tried my best to like match it with the music because that was a fun thing to try that I'd never done before. Also, originally when this thing landed, it would like make a wave of like drip Gokus, but it looked kind of ugly, so I just decided it had red bullets instead. And also the little projectiles that fall from the sky in like the second phase were originally not red, but that looked kind of stupid because they're just a bunch of memes. When they're red, they can just look like garbage, like red demonic garbage, and that's kind of fine. Here comes Joe's Town. Also, it is a complete coincidence that the map from Ghosts and Goblins matches up with the level ideas I had. Like, I just, like, wanted a graveyard, a town, and a cave, and then that just happened to be what was in there. Here I just made some little creatures for civilians, because I was like, there's a town, I gotta make civilians, so I just made more of this guy's, like, species or whatever. I used the Castlevania 2 buildings. I did that because I was just kind of like... I just needed buildings from an NES game, and then I realized, like, there's other fan games that do that. Like, I think Kill the Guy does that, and Kill the Guy also has a sewer level, which is, like, kind of, yeah, seems a little derivative, but I forgot. Anyway, here's, this building is destroyed, and this fire, which has a horrible hitbox, kills you. Originally, this fire was just used for this, but I ended up using it, like, a bunch of times later in the game. And that's not very good, because the hitbox is bad. Here's a little Undertale joke, which never fails to get a little laugh out of people. Here's the sewer level, which I think is interesting. Originally, I wanted to actually have water physics in this level, but, like, right before I started working on this level, I was working on a game jam project with some friends, well, with some not friends, actually, and it was a game that was underwater, and you had infinite jumping in that, and it sort of just made me not want to do that for this game, so instead you jump really high, kind of like you do in Mega Man, and the gimmick kind of works in the favor of the one jump height, with the fact that you're kind of limited now. There's some fire underwater, which I think is pretty funny. Previous levels gravestone, just for fun. This level, originally I was like, I wanted to have something pop up here. And I was originally like gonna do like the potato mine from like Plants vs. Zombies, but I didn't really want to do that because that series is not as good as it used to be. So I had a picture of an AI-generated cat on my computer from, like, the Edges to Cats website. So I just used that because it was kind of funny, and the meow sound is really good. Here's a little trap you can just jump over. Just wanted to use the robot fish, and didn't use the framework opens its mouth, so it's just staring at you, kinda. This trap is fun. You can jump over it too, like, there's 2 ways of dodging it, but a lot of people don't know what triggers that trap, so it's pretty fun to just see people, like, either wait it out or try to run under it. Okay, here's Joe. Joe was a joke I wanted to use because I had an inside joke with some of my friends about starting a Joe Mama joke but never finishing it, kinda. Like, we'd just ask, like, oh, who put this here? And I'd just say Joe. And that was just kind of it. We didn't say Joe Mama or anything. It was just Joe. And that's kind of it. So yeah, and every Joe appearance in the stage is, like, some internet horror picture. Or, like, associated with some mystery. Here's Bass Pro Shops. Or Bass Pro Shops, I'm fucking stupid. Which I was like, it would be funny if that logo generated fish. Also, I reused the Edges to Cats thing here. That was another image I just had lying around. I was like, let's just make that a theme, because I had ideas for what this level would have, but very few of them. So I just kind of came up with some ideas along the way. Here's the rats. If you go back, you get fucking killed by the giant rat that makes all the rules. You can duck under this, by the way. Speedrun strat. But yeah, Joe was kind of, it was kind of a joke. There was like a game where we played where you couldn't respond with what or something else. I forgot the game. It was like a drinking game. But sometimes we just answered Joe, even though it meant you had to take a sip. Also, I put bloopers in this. I'm very proud of that. I actually had to learn the exact behavior of bloopers, and then I just programmed that, and I'm pretty proud of it. Like, I made a script that just makes bloopers for Mario. Worked like this. And I put Squidwards that spawn them. The Squidwards were originally, like, the guy from Squid Game, because it's kind of funny. Like, the guy from Squid Games becomes a bunch of squids. But... yeah. I thought that meme might die, so I just made it Squidward Suicide, because that's kind of a old-school creepypasta reference that's kind of funny. But yeah, all the Joe appearances have, like, either Death Grips or Kara Kara Bonito music playing, because I thought it'd be kind of jarring to just have, like, kind of wild songs start when Joe appears. Here's some more Edges to Cats. I actually had to, like, find the website again to make those ones, because I didn't have any more pictures left on my computer. This one is a Squidward. It turns into more. This level is my favorite, because I tried my best to make something that looks like just a challenge level, and I could just do this. This effect I'm very proud of. And here's Joe again. This image is what made me want to do the Joe thing, because I saw the fucking Wilton Files Jack Walton picture, and I was like, that is fucking hilarious. I need to use that for that. Here's OJ, because Super Mega's OJ joke is pretty good. This room is not one I'm fond of, because it's fucking JoJo reference in, like, 2022. But I like it because I put fish instead of knives. I put this joke here because one of my friends kind of liked JoJo and was like, thought JoJo memes were funny, so I was just like, sure. I also watch JoJo and find it good, but I mainly referenced it for his sake. Here's the submarine. Originally, this stage, I wanted it to end with a different boss. The buff guy that appears in level 4, that was supposed to be the original second boss. But because it's a reference to just my friend's previous game, I was like, that's not going to be very funny, because no one knows what that is. So made it the Joe boss instead. The Joe boss is, like, primarily inspired by the Eric Abramov boss from 3-Sweeper, in just that I thought it's really funny to have way too, like, epic-looking avoidance bullets and then some fucking stupid image that fires it. Like, I was like, yeah, let's make this unnecessarily, like, epic-looking with, like, the most, like, crazy-sounding Toho 6 song I could find, and, like, yeah, it's just this stupid fucking image from the FNAF VHS series, and all his bullets are impact font Joe letters, which is an effect I'm pretty proud of. But yeah, this guy is just here. Here's the final phase. The attack that comes right after this is like quite literally just taken from the Eric Abramov 3-sweeper fight. Like, it's spinning around and it's firing these towards the inside of the boss, and it's like, you can, by the way, you can go in here. And yeah, so that's Joe. Also, originally, the Joe boss used the song that the first Joe appearance uses, but that's a little bit annoying, so I decided to just use Toho music instead. Also, the song here is another character Benito song. I was like, I like the screams in that one, so I was like, it'd be funny if it just has that song and it fades out. And this is my cave, which is a reference to, and this is the Nintendo ship cube. This explodes, which I think is pretty great. This is another idea that I had, like, from the start. I was like, maybe had that idea half a year before I started making this game. So that was pretty funny. These guys fucking scream. Also, these guys I drew myself. Originally, I thought there was an enemy that looked exactly like this from some retro game, but I couldn't find it. So I just drew them myself and tried my best to like replicate an NES style. But apparently there's an enemy from Rogue Legacy that looks a lot like that. So, sorry for the copyright infringement, I guess. But you can shoot that fish to explode. Literally every fish can be shot to explode in this game. Which I think is pretty funny. They can all do that. Every fish, if you had a gun and shot them, they explode. This guy can't jump over or he claps you. Also, I wanted to, for some reason, I was like, every enemy that dies in this stage should die in absolute agony. So the spiky guys scream and the chucks, like, realistically clutch their fucking stomach after you shoot them. Also, I gave the chucks, like, an NES sprite palette because I was like, the rest of the level is 8-bit. Might as well just also make these guys 8-bit. I'm pretty proud of that. Also, this guy spawns if you do that. The screams, I don't know if they are still funny after, like, the 7th time, but... Alright, if you shoot this guy, he shoots you with the fucking dinner blaster, which is a fun little old-school YouTube poop reference. But yeah, you can just dodge him, and he does nothing. Also, getting the fuck you soundbite was really hard, because YouTube really doesn't want to show you the Jack Black fuck you sound if you just search that. Which is pretty annoying. There's a Worms reference. I was watching like a lot of Oni plays when I made this. I don't watch them that much anymore. But I was watching their Worms series, and I was like, it would be really funny if a grenade from Worms made an actual hole like this, like an environmental hole. Also, the scream is like of the spiky enemies is like taken from an Oni plays video. I just thought it was a good one. This guy does not clap you, which is to give you a fake sense of safety. This is like the most annoying screen. I playtested this like a bunch of times. This is like the part of this level that it becomes like oddly skill-based, because you actually have to like think about how you shoot. These little teeth are pretty fun. These teeth block. I was like, what's the most unhinged way I can do Invisiblocks? And I was like, yeah, they have big teeth and they say the fucking death grip's high. Also, a lot of people are like, yeah, those teeth are Germa. They're actually taken from, like, the hamburger helper that becomes fucked up in I Want. Like, that's what the teeth are taken from. You can even see, the nose a little bit if you look. But I was just, like, I had a fascination with, like, grinning when I made this. Like, a grinning face is kind of funny in how disturbing it can also be. This door is great. I just put this here and I was like, this is a background detail, but a lot of people try to enter it, and I'm pretty happy with that because it makes for a good effect when this happens. And that's the Irate Gamer. I was like, I used a lot of Doug Walker in Chungo 1 and Chungo 2, so let's just find all the other angry reviewers and use them for this game. This trap, I was like, I just wanted to use the, like, power cry on one of these guys because they have little faces. This screen, is, I guess, kind of funny. I'm still scared this will become outdated real fast. Also, the Go sign is an MS, is like, in fucking, Comic Sans. Oh yeah, that face does that. Originally, I wanted it to, like, chase after you when you got seen. but I didn't do that because it was kind of annoying to do. Also, the rock only goes after you if you're like holding down a directional button or pressing the duck button as he's looking. You can still unleash the jump button and like be ducking while he's looking. Also, these enemies have 1 health because I didn't feel like you needed to waste a bunch of time like wilting their health down. So yeah. Also, this gimmick was originally going to be for 3 screens, but it was so annoying to test that I was just like, I'm using it for 1 screen only. So yeah, that's a fucking fun little thing. This screen I like, because it's just a little simple gimmick. I, I like these baseballs that just chase you, it's just fun. And you can just do these, so it's kind of shocking if you don't know what to do. And then I made them turn an extra time for comical effect, and this guy chases you. Again, I really love this fucking sproing sound effect from that. This screen, I genuinely ran out of ideas, so I just took the funny explosion that was also used in Deltarune, took the UI falling down, there's Walter White. This idea I had for a long time. I just thought it'd be funny to have a kind of dark silhouette that just looks like a background element, and then it's fucking Walter White for some reason. Yeah, the screen is too long. I should have made it shorter, with less traps, because it's like the one screen you have to repeat a bunch of times in a row to like do. Yeah, a lot of people don't know these are the exact height you need to shoot. Like, a lot of people don't trust going to that, and that's my very own fault. It's a little weird. So yeah, then I put this trap. I was like, it would be funny if you thought it was that door. This trap originally like moved only when you were above it, so you just had to know about it and you just die at the end of the stage, and that kind of sucked. So I just made the trigger be a little earlier. This screen is fun. The Santa Claus screen. It was actually Christmas while I was making this, so I was just like, let's put that in, because it'd be really funny if it's not actually Christmas while you play. That's also why it says Merry Christmas 2013, and I misspelled it intentionally. These little reindeer from Cookie Clicker, they're pretty fun. And the snow is pretty great. I reused the snow sprite, like, a lot. Also, I made a script that makes things randomly sized just for that screen, to have the snowflakes be random. That's like a little trap that returns there. It's like one of the few instances where a joke returns in a completely different stage. I try to not do that for most of the time. Here's the angry, pissed off hardcore gamer, the 3rd boss. Believe it or not, this was not inspired by the Eric Abramov fight from 3-Sweeper, because I did not know these two were the same people at that point. I thought those were just 2 kind of similar looking gamers. I know this guy because of the Nintendo Shit Cube video, which my friend really loved, so I was like, it'd be funny to make that into like a boss in this game. And yeah, I just got the idea it'd be funny if you like use the power of the games to turn into their characters. And this joke, I was like, it'd be so funny if these notes were like a thing you had to dodge. And yeah, I wanted the fucking falling gif to be the intro and outro of this boss, and that made me happy that it worked out pretty well. Also, originally, those were actually cookies falling down because of his line about the disc looking like chocolate chip cookies, but, like, I removed that and turned them into discs because I didn't want it to, like, seem fat-phobic to people who didn't, like, know about the video or couldn't hear the line being said, so I just made them into discs so people, because, like, if it's just a fat guy who throws cookies, it's like, that's not funny. It's just fucking mean. So, yeah. You fucking kill him and he falls over. So that is the first like half of the game, because the 2 last levels are way longer compared to the rest of the game. And here's Chungo using the reality warper. This animation is not particularly good because the shading's kind of off. Alright, so I don't know if anyone noticed, but I did put a little jump cut in here, and that was just to, like, check if this video isn't becoming horrendously long, because I don't often record stuff, so I don't know if it's, like, fucking 50 gigabytes per video. Anyway, here's, these look like the Reddit upvote and downvote. That's the spread I kind of didn't want to use, but it worked great for a double jump power-up. Also, at this point, I kind of stopped using old school music because at this point, that's not what the game kind of looks like anymore. The first 3 levels were like I used music from games that are known to have good music on the NES, with Castlevania 3, Gimmick, and Journey to Silius. Here, I just wanted to use this like basement theme from Deltarune because it's pretty good for like just the atmosphere of a single level that's kind of like damning. Anyway, programming the double jump was a fucking first time achievement for me because I had tried to do that with a bunch of previous games and it had been fucking impossible to do. So this game was like, that was huge for me that I could finally do that with this game. So I'm pretty proud of that. Because that's like, yeah, I can do fucking fan games now with the fucking double jump. Isn't that nice? Yeah. These background elements are for, like, a bunch of different stuff. Anyway, I wanted to have a fucking cartoons-esque sound effect here. Like, you die a Bugs Bunny-ass death from this guy. This character is Dark Chungo, who was, like, originally meant to appear way more and be, like, what Chungo looked like before you, like, fight him at the end. But, like, I don't know. He just kind of appears here, throws an anvil at you, and then does nothing for the rest of the stage. And that's kind of... I don't know, kind of a waste, but also kind of funny to just have a character who does that. He also appears in the last level, but like, and like the final boss. But like, yeah, I don't know, it's funny to just have him be here. These are ladders that come out of bags. These bags were in Chungo too, and they contained like an explosive fucking barrel. These spikes are fun. This idea I had from the very start that if I ever wanted to make Chungo 3, which is what this game kind of is, Chungo's Gauntlet, I wanted to have like a kind of Luigi alternative of Mario, like of the jumping character appearing. This guy's name is the jumping character, by the way, and is not really a guy. I don't really want to give this character a gender. But yeah, I was like, it'd be really funny if a player 2 appeared with like a sort of Minecraft intro text down here, like, and like just activated a bunch of traps and spoke like a fucking Gmod child, and the audio is like another Only Plays clip. Yeah. This stage was another idea. I was like, that I had this idea like a year before I made this. I was like, it'd be really cool to have a screen that switches aesthetics like this. These fires originally went in like a cross pattern, but it was super unpredictable, so I just removed that. Also, originally this didn't use Yume Nikki music. It used like the FNAF world, like Subworld Theme 3, but then I found a rip of it on YouTube, and the song just sounds like shit, like even in game. So I was like, yeah, let's use the base, like, FC basement. Also, that didn't have a, like, clock in the corner originally. I put that there after I made the clock for, like, the troll face trap in the final level. Here's the Caretaker stage. I'm very proud of how that looks. I don't know, I have a fascination with Caretaker music and, like, the aesthetic of the album covers. So I just put a bit of that in the game. Also, like, the thwomps that fall down here are, like, not thwomps from, like, not a thwomp sprite from Mario. It's literally that, like, thing with the matchstick on it, edited to have a thwomp face on it. And I think that's pretty funny. I thought those looked kind of similar. Here's the Lisa stage. This is a thing, I literally had this idea, I think 2-3 years ago. I was like, if I ever make a fan game, I want to make a Lisa stage that uses these exact footballers and like these like girders, and I'm pretty glad I finally made it. Also, for this stage, like the sprite for the main character, for the jumping character, is like upscaled because it looked kind of weird when everything else was like half the pixel size, but you were just like a double pixel size. That was like kind of weird. The guy that jumps down here is canonically called Peter in the Lisa games, which is pretty funny because we have Peter Griffin right here. The reason I put Peter Griffin in here is, like, when I was working on the earlier levels, I was, like, listening to, like, LS Mark's review of every Family Guy episode, and I just saw the melted Peter, and I was like, that looks kind of like a Joy Mutant from Lisa. Would be pretty funny to put here. So that's what he is now. And yeah, here's the screaming gimmick. I wanted to use that way more in this stage, because it was like, being pushed was kind of a cool gimmick to have. But I used it like 2 times, and I also wanted to use it in the Germa boss fight. Like, I want him to clap his ass cheeks, and it made you go backwards, but I was like, that's a bit crude, so I just made it that he has an attack you have to dodge. Anyway, enough about that. This is the Chuck McBuffington level. Chuck McBuffington is a game some of my friends made for, like, a little personal game jam we had. The game has the game kind of looks like this. It has walls and bricks like this, and the background is red, and I just interpreted that as it's in hell, and there's flames. And that's also why there's, like, dumbbells and, like, an exercise machine down there. This jump fucks over a lot of people. Also, the gate and keys are also pretty much taken, like, stylistically from this game. I don't know why I chose to... I just chose to reference it because I like my friends, and I was like, it'd be fun if they, like, recognize this. This level was fun. It's a little tribute to the original fangame. And yeah, there were, like, way more traps originally, and I was like, let's not overdo this. But this I'm a pretty big fan of. There we go. I put Miku here because Miku is, like, a big character in fan games, but also because my friend really loves Hatsune Miku, so I was like, let's just do that. Oh yeah, the fact that this level switches just kind of came to me eventually. I was like, I wanted the fucking second to last level to just have pretty much anything in it. So I eventually just decided on Portals, because it's kind of like in Burn Mind, and I kind of like those games for just having just any kind of aesthetic appear. Like, just, I think that's really cool to just have a bunch of different aesthetics. And I always wanted a burning stage. So there's a bunch of burning sprites from, like, different games. The background is an actual picture I took and edited to look kind of different. This trap I thought of at some point, I forgot when, but I was like, that's a funny idea to plan. Because it's a fire level, I was like, yeah, let's just put Mario smoking weed in there. Like, because that image is really funny. So he just fucking pops up. And I had to actually do a little mathematical writing to get those fucking fireballs to actually appear like exactly a round kind of circle, like that. This level is, like, based on the weird core aesthetic, which is why everything is JPEG'd. There's, like, oddly creepy smileys, and, like, there's the sky up here, and, like, these kind of liminal pictures used as, like, the background. A lot of people think the door down there is a secret, and in hindsight, I wish I had made it a secret, because this game doesn't have, like, any secrets. But yeah, this level's fun. It looks like something I'd see in a dream, and I like that kind of aesthetic. A lot of later stages are, like, based on, like, oh, I'm goddamn bad at this game. Are, like, based on either like feelings I've had or, like, dreams I've had. Because I think those are pretty interesting things to base a level's aesthetic off of. I put a little Irate Gamer here, making it the second, like, time I break my little rule of not repeating jokes. Also, the sound of that portal, that's Germa. That's, like, Germa from, like, his chocolate Mr. Green video, where he's like, I'm falling into a wormhole! And he has, like, a crazy effect on it. Okay, so this level is pretty interesting. It has the fucking Taco Bell sound effect. This level was another one I had an idea for, like, 3 years ago. I was like, this image of that's just a labeled guy is so funny. What if it made up the entirety of every block? in a fucking guy level, and I wanted to do it in a previous game, but I kind of abandoned that previous game because I was not good at making games. And the way the background is scrolling is kind of, there's like a monkey level in I Want to Go the Time that has similar background scrolling energy, and I was like, that is so chaotic. That would fit really well with like this song that I used. Anyway, because this level was already fucked enough, I was like, I had the idea of a Slenderman gimmick where it's just this Jesse Pinkman meme where he's edited to look like Slenderman and he says, "Collect the 8 pages, bitch," because I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. Like, you can put anything on Jesse and have him say "bitch" at the end, and it's pretty funny. At least it was at the time. I still think it's funny just for the fucking absurdity of it. Yeah. Also, this wall you can go through. That's like a mistake. You can probably do that in a speedrun if you wanna save some time, like, and not go back. Like, see, you can just go through it. It kind of sucks. This level right here, I literally came up with it when I was having a really shitty day and listening to like Caretaker and Caretaker fan tracks, and I was like, this just a fucking level with this background and this music, and you're just in fucking hell. Originally, I also wanted to have like scrolling text that just said like heaven on it as kind of an ironic thing, like, oh, this life is so great, this is heaven, even though I was feeling like complete shit. Due to dealing with various emotions at the time, because I was waiting for a certain medicine to arrive. Here's the horror, that's a sprite from Hylix. It always fires the same path, those bullets, and that's kind of a gimmick. I kind of did this because it was like, it would be really funny if Germa just started commentating the level all of a sudden. Also, those shaking things from the previous level, I was like, it would be fun to have those, and they shake, and they just burn down due to like stress or whatever. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Originally they were going to be there for the whole level, but they have a really hard pattern to dodge, so I just made them burn down. This level is based on a game I made for a game jam called Gore Stats Effect. Spikes look exactly like this. There's these question marks you pick up that do things, and that enemy right there is like called Wonderful and is like the main villain of that game. Anyway, you collect this and there's a static effect, and she starts to chase you. And she has like a fucked up face, and she chases you one step at a time. When you kill her, she turns into like the disintegrating smiley meme, which is kind of hard to see because there's no good outline. Here's the hanging crazy frog, which is like, that was like an icon for a Discord server I was in at the time, and I was like, that's kind of a funny thing to use as a gimmick. Like, it's fucking crazyfrog.exe. I do kind of regret doing it though, because someone was like, this is bad, this makes me, this is like, there should be a trigger warning for like suicide, and I was like, ah. So yeah, I kind of regret having that in the game now. Here is, these things. This is another level that was like based on kind of a dream or like a mood. Like, this song, like a sky background and just these like rainbow kind of blocks. Or like, I like that aesthetic. It reminds me of something I'd see in like a abstract museum, which is kind of an aesthetic I like, just like sort of weird things. And these are supposed to, people see them as toilet paper, but they're supposed to be like an evil, fucked up version of your main character's face. But I'm okay with people misinterpreting them. They're also like a boshy gimmick of like just switching when you jump. But yeah, I was proud of programming this. That's the end of this stage. This stage I'm pretty proud of. I made it a bit too easy though, but like, it switches on the beat, which I'm pretty happy with. This song I wanted to use from the start because I heard it and I was like, this is kind of what I'm feeling sometimes. Just, this is existential crisis music. This is hell music. Some of these pictures are like, one of them is like a notebook I scribbled in and kind of upscaled. Another is an actual picture I took of like the sea, which I think is pretty fun. This stage I drew everything myself, and it's kind of a reference to a game jam game my friends made that was like had a sort of drawn art style and was about time and had clocks in it. Um, so yeah, uh, but yeah, there's these little teleporting clocks, which you just go in and you come out the other side. One of them is a trap, and it's a pretty fun one. I wanted one of the stages with a song to have like that song in the background. This is the stage that everyone is like, "Is this Celeste?" But like, it's not. I didn't use a single Celeste sprite in this stage. I just kind of made this stage is just colored like the trans flag, which I'm pretty happy with. Also, Eric referenced this level in Freeze Mind and made it even more like even less subtle that it was the trans flag, which I'm pretty happy with. And yeah, this camera originally just kind of waved back and forth like in a pretty symmetrical way, but then I was like, let's make it like shake on its head like this, look kind of drunk. This is one of my favorite parts because I drew most of the assets. This character I like to call like the guilt folder because that's the name of the painting that it's inspired by. This character is like a mishmash of ideas. The primary like appearance is based off the fourth cover for Everywhere at the End of Time, which is like a woman facing backwards and she's kind of obscured and looks weird in art style. The guitar is like based on like there's a picture of Al Bowley who plays some of the songs that were sampled in Caretaker, and also played like the song that was used in like The Shining. There's a picture where he holds a guitar that looks kind of like that. The axe is a reference to The Shining. I like the frames where she attacks with the axe. I tried my best to like draw them to like look kind of like how Jack holds the axe in The Shining. This is just a big like kind of Caretaker love letter level. That's also why I used like this like J1 post awareness confusion song. Also, I think I subconsciously kind of inspired this level from like Gizmos. I wanna be the caretaker. The stage 4 level kind of has this aesthetic a little bit, which I was kind of inspired by. These bombs. This level was meant to be like silent and scary, but these bombs just kind of make it not that. But I don't mind. You can hear like the full impact of them because the music is so silent and like scary. This level kind of has some stuff where you really gotta know exactly when to jump, and that's a little annoying to me. It's a reality warper switch making a little reappearance. Fun fact, when she teleports like this, you can like touch her. She doesn't hurt you. Which is a fun little thing. Here, she fucking dies and gets put into the fucking Shining picture. Which I think is pretty funny. And now we reach the fourth boss, which is not very well made in my opinion. It's the one I'm the least satisfied with. This note saying Zonk State is a reference to like an Isaac community inside joke where like the wiki was edited to say that the note the like missing page number 2 like gives you the quote unquote zonked state. Anyway, Germa fires rats in this level, and I was like, really, like, he needs to just be firing rats. Also, when he runs away to charge the punch, he has, like, the dump truck. He uses rats, he uses the horror, because that's the Germa bit, and he has a third attack, too, which I don't even know if we'll see. It's the Pac-Man gaming one, which is, like, a single frame from, like, a really old Germa video where he dresses up as Pac-Man and runs around, and for one frame he checks for emails, and it just looks like Pac-Man gaming, and it's really funny. So, let's get this guy right now. I wish I had cut the second phase to be like a save. Anyway, he turns into Mr. Green. I just called him Ludomanic Psycho Streamer for this. He has some. This attack is my favorite. I just love the idea of a little stock market that just says crippling debt and fires little stock market arrows. This, I wish I didn't make that one crumble that fast because everyone's like just dies at that part. The RNG for this is also pretty annoying because you can just get the same attack a bunch of times. The fire attack is the worst because it's kind of random speed and it stays the longest after the whole thing. And the hitboxes of the fire, as previously mentioned, are like not that accurate, which fucking sucks. Get fucked. And that's the Germa fight. Definitely the best fight in the game. It isn't. But Orist likes it, so I'm pretty happy with that. And here's the final stage, the self-titled one. And I was like, I might as well just explain why Chungo is like back. But yeah, it's because he has a fricked up evil ritual, which he drew with like a children's marker, and signed in pretty cursive. And yeah, this is like way too detailed and like way too conditional, but I was like, I need there to not be a way for him to come back again if you kill him at the end. And here I'm pretty proud of these like only eyes visible sprites, and I like that Joe is just a square because he didn't have his borders removed. So here's the final level. I'm gonna do another jump cut. Alright, so we're at the final level. First off, one thing I want to mention is originally I had planned for there to be another level in between this. And what I wanted to do with that level was, it was essentially just like an entire night of Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, you had to look at cameras and shit. And I was like, that would be an interesting coding challenge, and it would also be completely out of the blue. Like, what the fuck? Why would that be in the game? And for that level, it was like you'd have Dark Chungo chasing you, and I think Germa was going to be there too, and Doug Walker. And some other characters, I don't remember. And at the end, you'd get jump scared by like a character that was gonna be the boss of the fifth stage that it would have been, who's a Golden Ronald Reagan, who was a character. I had a previous game that I'm not gonna show, that's like on a different account, where you fight, where there's fucking. Like, one of the characters is just Ronald Reagan. He's colored gold, and he has the little top hat from Freddy. And I thought that would be a pretty funny character to have as, like, a boss in this game. But I decided not to do that because, yeah, I don't know. It was a hard thing to code, and I don't know if people would like me putting political references in this game. I was not ready for it yet, at least, because, I don't know, this is like the biggest game I've made. I don't know if I was not brave enough to put in that. Anyway, that would have been the fifth level. This is the last level, and it's the one that references all the previous ones. So there's some of the first, like, traps and enemies here. Also, originally, every enemy in this stage was going to be reskinned to look like Big Chungus, but I decided not to do it because it was too time-consuming. Yeah, so Spamton makes a return. You can now shoot the bloopers. Some people don't realize you can do that, which is, like, weird, because I literally put this, like, mural underneath that tells you can shoot them. But whatever. I still made the level so you can do it without shooting any of them, so if you do in fact not realize, you can just still do it and give yourself a harder time. This guy explodes if you shoot him 3 times, but you don't actually have to shoot him. Originally he just stood there and you can just kill him and it did nothing. I was like, what if he just explodes? That would be a funny trap. Also because, like, I wanted to have, since there's these footballers, I was like, it'd be fun to have the Chucks be there, because, like, they're also footballers. If you go back down here, you get chucked. This level's fun. I like the use of all the gimmicks. The one thing I think is maybe a little odd about this level is, like, that because there's so many gimmicks in Stage 4, it's, like, primarily Stage 4 gimmicks that you see, but I'm okay with that. That's fun. Here's the flops making a turn, and here's the chucks. These chucks both die in one hit because, like, it take too long if you just have to shoot them a bunch of times. But a lot of people just don't realize you can shoot them. Like, no one actually... so many streamers, like, don't even attempt to go over and shoot them like this. Also, the blood doesn't kill you. I forgot to mention that. A lot of people think that. I should have made it, like, transparent so it doesn't seem like it would. But yeah, you can kill these chucks, and you make the game a lot easier for yourself by doing that. Here's a little Squidward. You can kill these squids too, but you can also just go under them by lifting them up like this. The first part of the stage is kind of boring because it's mainly just reusing assets. I didn't do much new with them. Yeah. Also, I had a panic attack while I was making this level, so at least the first half, so I just kind of don't have good memories of that. Also, this stage is a bit difficult. Like, a lot of people don't realize you have enough jump height to kill this guy, so that's funny, I guess. Also, yeah, this one is fake, like, in the first time it appears, and this one's real. I was like, what if I just made that one real? That'd be funny. A lot of people dodge it on instinct. I regret putting these flames here, like, they literally serve no purpose. Here's the return of the zombies from the first stage and the cookie clicker reindeer. They were originally random, but then I realized that's kind of annoying, so I just made them have a set pattern in this specific little level. Also, the snow comes from the bottom in this stage because the clouds are at the bottom of the screen and not at the top. And here, this is technically a little introduction to these breakable blocks. That's like the one original gimmick. Walter White returns, but I'm not gonna die to him this time. And you just gotta do that and shoot that. And the reason there's a red portal here on the other side is just like in case you jump into the blue one first, you can still go back and win. I didn't want to put too many like required like depths for that. I like what I did with this one, like combining the like switching level with like the question mark from that one stage. And then the like enemies that appear are different. I think that's fun. Yeah. This is like when I started to be like, okay, let's actually make originals. Let's have some fun with like combining gimmicks and stuff and like put an original spin to it. Alright, here's one of the bosses I'm the proudest of because it's primarily original. I was like, let's bring Kingslayer back and let's make him horrifically fucking mutate into like this parasitic creature. Which I guess I kind of dubbed the King Flayer because like the Mind Flayer and all that shit. Anyway, this was a sprite I was really proud of making. The reason I made this happen to Kingslayer was like I was watching a video on like Sonic.exe fan games, and one of them had Sonic like mutate in a really creepy way, and I was like, I could use that. I could definitely use that. And I was like, let's bring back Kingslayer, and he's a horrible fucking parasitic creature. Originally, I was gonna give him like more attacks and phases, but I realized that like this like simple little loop of like chasing you slowly and then dashing at you was like kind of fun. Like on its own, so I just made it that, and it's a mini boss too, so it can be very simple. And I just gave it like very little health, and then gets fucking banned. Get fucked, Kingslayer. Yeah, I'm also really glad that like that Eric referenced this boss in Freeze Mind because I think that's a good boss to reference because it's like the only one that's not like derivative of anything else. I think. I really wanted these like spike cats to return and be like a scrolling level. Like that was like an idea that just hit me, like I should bring those back, but like this gimmick, like they chase you like this. So I'm pretty happy with that. Look at these cats. Because like they do look like something that would be like a big wall that chases you. This one has 1 health because it's an annoying position for it to be in. You can still get past it without like actually killing it, but it's a bit harder. Yeah, there's just a bunch of gimmicks here, and it's pretty fun. Here's this stage where this angry fella returns. And now the AVGN makes a return. I had considered making him still spawn the birds, but I was like, he's just your friend now. James Rolfe will just help you out, and I put Miko here because it's a fun little thing to put back. This room I had like an idea for. I was just like, it'd be so funny if like you're in a room and Trollface just goes fucking mental and you have to escape it. And like there's just these semi-randomized Invisiblocks that you have to dodge. And yeah, I used I used the fucking Hylix TNT animation because I think it's pretty funny. And the reverb part, because I guess it's the kind of funny sound to use for explosions. Yeah. This level I like, because like you take the key and all the fucking blocks disappear, and then the fucking key chases you with the Bowser laugh. I think that's pretty funny. Let's go. Fuck this, I'm going over here. When people played this level, it made me realize that anything that chases you like this is called like a Sonic, and I kind of think that's a fun way, a fun thing I like about the community. But yeah, when people call it that, that's when I realized. It's just a little simple projectile strip I have. Anyway, I make Jessie reappear here, and the Guilds Holder is back. Also, the Guilds Holder is like, the original concept of her was like, I was gonna make her a boss in like a Halloween-based like horror game, platformer. Also, she can kill those fish and make them explode, which can make things harder. Here's Dark Chungo, and he's actually like kind of difficult now, and he uses all the previous traps from the levels, which I thought was like a fun little gimmick. They all make their different noises and have different speeds. The return of Crazy Frog. No way. This game has Crazy Frog. Holy crap, Lois. Alright, fuck. Let's get up here. Also, the explosion being cut off like that is my favorite fucking thing. Anyway, this one kills you here, so you don't touch these things. I'm really happy that how many people fell for this and thought this was like a power-up when it just fucking kills you. I think that's pretty funny. Let's get out of here. Yeah, this was a fun little puzzly level where you just kind of it has some of the trap elements of the earlier stages. This is like the last time you see Dark Chungo, and it's like my favorite gimmick I put in this game, and it's used in a total of one screen, like having to like balance your jumps not to like get killed when they're deadly. But yeah, I wish I'd used that more, because it's a very interesting gimmick. Also, Dark Chungo is like kind of based on Shadow Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's, and I think I forgot the streamer, but someone mentioned that they thought the same. So that's at least one person realized that. And now we're approaching the final few bosses, which is Cyber Chungus, who initially starts off with this like Robotnik phase, which I'm pretty happy with. It's very simple and very RNG, and that's 100% intentional, just to make you think, what the hell, is this the final boss? No way. Plus, I just wanted to have like, Chungo is kind of like a mix. It's kind of like Big Chungus with like Donkey Kong's physique, but he kind of has the same physique as Dr. Eggman, so it's kind of like. I thought the idea of putting him in like the big Eggman Eggbot was like kind of funny. He does the Family Guy death pose. This is like my favorite section of the game. Like, I'm pretty proud of like all the glitch effects and shit like that. And like this like boss, like I literally was listening to the song and I was like, oh, I should use that for a boss fight. And then I imagined this idea for a boss fight that like turns into all the previous bosses. The reason there's a timer in this boss is not for any interesting reason. It doesn't make the fight particularly harder. It's simply because this song is like hard to loop. So it's just like, yeah, the song ends and then you just die. I guess it adds like a bit of tension. I think that it kind of peaks at the first phase. I'm pretty proud of the Neko phase. I think it's the best drawing of them, and it's like it has the most like interesting take on the attacks of the boss. It's like referencing. I do like the effect they did with like Joe here. One of these is like the purple guy from like FNAF VHS, specifically when he like the criminal image when he turns like evil, which is like a reference to like the first boss having the like non-warped version of the face as its like main thing. Also, this boss is like purplish, but it's not incredibly. It's like also Cyber Chungus is not meant to be Chungo Kong. Like Cyber Chungus is like, in my mind, its own entity. Like Chungo is just that powerful that he has like Dark Chungo and Cyber Chungo as like his clone bodyguards. Yeah, I like this final phase because it's like very simple. Like I like having the final phase be kind of easy, but there is a tension. Like it's so narrow and shit, and it's like, yeah. The Chungus alert thing is like based on a post someone made on like some place where they had a dream that they had a program that was simply called Peter Alert that would show up, and it's just Peter Griffin, and it just says Peter Alert, and I was like, let's use that for this as a thing you need to dodge. Also, the fake crashing screen was like, I just JPEG'd it like after 1 second just to make sure people don't actually think their PC has crashed. Also, because like some games that use the fake crash have like a really low quality like JPEG of it, so it's also kind of poking fun at that. Anyway, originally this like section afterwards here was supposed to be its own level with its own enemies, and I was also gonna have like a ladder you climb, and it plays like the Metal Gear Solid 3 ladder theme. But I decided not to do that because I didn't feel like working on this game for much longer, so I just wanted to end it. Because I was, I just wanted to release this. Like, anyway, these screens, like the Donkey Kong screens here, are kind of, they're a reference, like direct reference to Chungo Kong 1 and 2. They have like almost the exact same layout with a few things broken and like the traps still like fallen. Like this thing was a trap on the like that I'm walking in front of was like a trap on the next screen here. Like and there's also a hammer that falls on the previous screen. And oh yeah, if you die here, you get draked. And there's also like a Markiplier face cam that pops up in Chungo 2. You can kind of see the like the sound isolation foam here. If I didn't crush this video to be like fucking microscopic file size. Oh yeah, this stage is fun. It's got a bunch of things falling down, and then there's this fake trap. But yeah, most of the traps in Chungo 1 and 2 make the like troll face sound because I just thought it was a funny sound to use. But yeah, this was like the boss arena in Chungo 2, but half the platforms are missing. But that's about it. Chungo Kong 2. Anyway. And here's the finale. I'm pretty proud of the sprite for like the kind of broken girder and the like. Okay, so for this fight, I was like, I heard this song and I was like, what if there was like multiple, you fought Chungus like Pokemon, but also they were like these like mystical Chungus orbs with like different colored variants, and it's like, yeah. This one's based off the Big Chungus Indigo music video. It's by complete coincidence that I named it Indigo, which is kind of similar to Indigo. Yeah, I also named them after colors that weren't necessarily like the first colors you think of when you think of colors, like magenta and indigo. I was just like, let's make this sound flashy. So yeah, this is kind of strange. It based the concept a little bit on like the final boss of like the hardest difficulty of Smash 4, where it has like the blade form, the beast form, the like castle form. So this has like the orange square form, the the indigo actual Chungus form and like the purple or the magenta orbs form. I like the orange one because it's like a very simple script I made for it. Also, that was the 100 Gex tree that Chungo was standing in front of. Here's finally the fight against Dark Chungo, which is kind of inspired by Megalovania. Like the Sands fight. This attack specifically being in reference to like the bones that come in from the side and you have to just jump over them. These umbrellas and stuff are like from Donkey Kong. That's some Reddit gold. Oh yeah, yeah. And there's fucking Death Grips reference to the No Love Deep Web music video that has like the stops in between with that exact text. Also, I like the idea of having the fucking attack and act buttons has like platforms, but they just say platform because now they're just platforms. So that was a fun little sprite to make, like making a little platform on the button. And yeah, Chungo just dies like when a ROM hack makes things explode into a coin in like Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. And here's finally, I always wanted the final fight to be like a fully original art illustrated like mech of Chungus, or like Chungo. So he has like a bunch of attacks. Originally this phase had more health, but my friend was like struggling a lot to beat this, so I just like gave it a little less for the first and last phase. This attack was one of the first I imagined, because I was like, okay, if he's got big hands, he should be able to shoot like that. Yeah. These attacks are a lot easier if you just duck like this. And yeah, I always wanted Chungo to just kind of like deconstruct as the fight continues, so like his hands fucking explode and his eyes no longer flash normally, and his mouth doesn't move either. So you just have to shoot his little emblem here. And then he starts aiming. The way the attacks go in this phase is kind of like inspired by like Omega Flowey. In like his final phase, he'll have like bullets that go like out of the eyes, kind of like Chungo does in this fight. And all the bullets are kind of slow here, so you can just—it's kind of a tense moment where you just kind of have to dodge and shoot this thing that has a lot of health. And then here's the final phase where you actually get to see Chungo, and he's like desperate. He's literally just hitting his fucking machine to get bullets out, and he fires carrots. Like the fucking spread of Reddit gold he fires, that's an attack he also uses in Chungo 1, I think. I forgot about the bombs. Yeah. I like the idea of a boss like breaking down like this. It's kind of like in Cuphead, where it's like bosses change shape a lot over time. And yeah, so that's like the whole boss. And here you can either choose to spare Chungo or kill Chungo. Personally made kill Chungo the funniest, but sparing Chungo is more speedrun efficient because the spare hitbox is closer to the center. So if you want to speedrun, you can spare him, because all the animations following are the exact same length. Anyway, this is the funny ending, where you kill him and you just get celebrated for killing the known Chungus menace. You win the Noble Violence Prize. And this is the part where I freaking troll you. How about that? Yeah. And there's the other ending as well, which, like, originally, it's a fun end. It's like a nice ending, very wholesome ending. I made both endings were good. I didn't want people to be like, oh, I got the bad ending for killing this fucking guy I fought in a 7-phase fucking boss fight. Yeah, so there's a fun little, there's all the little civilians from earlier. Yeah. Originally the plan was also like, in the good ending, like Chungo and the jumping character just get married, and it was just gonna be like Chungo in a suit and jumping character in like a pretty dress. But I wasn't sure if people were gonna like that or something. I don't know. I was afraid of like if people would be homophobic or something, because I didn't really know who would play this game at the time. But yeah. So here's the credits with all the different little sprites. Yeah, I used a lot of different little things, and I want to credit all of them. Also, for every game either me or my friends made, I put a little funny comment underneath, just as like a little gag. And I also tried to put like the sprites close to where they appear here in like the credits. But yeah, also for the pissed off gamer, his first 2 attacks used the sprites from those games, but for his Metroid Prime attack, because I hadn't played Metroid Prime, I just used like sprites from I just used sprites from Super Metroid because I hadn't played Prime. Because I don't know, I didn't play a lot of GameCube games, and I didn't really like. I like Metroid games, but Prime is a bit too different. Here's me flexing my original art. Because I don't know, I used if I have a long list of art, I don't want people to just think I didn't make anything. Yeah. I'm not a complete fraud, only slightly. And here's all the music. It's a lot of game music. I kind of wanted to use more like wacky music. That's why I used a lot of like. That's why the second stage has like a lot of Death Grips and Character Bonito stuff. Yeah. Next game I'm making, I'm gonna use a lot more like wacky music. It's not just gonna be like game music and stuff, because game music is fun to use, but it's also like fun to use songs that you just like listening to. Because like you can imagine like what scenario it could be used for and things like that. Yeah. There's some special thanks to some. Yeah, because my friends who like played the first 2 little weird games I made, they also gave me some criticism. Like the jumping sound in those games were shit, so I used a very low bassy one for this game. Yeah, I started like university around the time I like released this game, so I got a lot of people who liked the games I made for like game jams and stuff. Then of course I want to be the guy community because I love it. Shout outs. And then the caretaker because I didn't want to seem disrespectful for using like serious Dementia music in this. And then a big thank you to the players. Thanks for playing. So yeah. So that's the game. I'm not gonna show the good ending because I don't really feel like doing the final boss again right now for this. Yeah, I did a little stream like this because I don't know. I feel like it's nice to be able to return to previous levels if there's like a little bit you thought was funny or something. Yeah. I'm so happy that this game was nominated for Beginner Game of the Year and like that I was nominated for Debut Maker of the Year for this game. I'm incredibly thankful for it. I was a bit nervous in both interviews for the Fangame Awards. Which I feel a little bad for. Like the first interview, I just talked and I didn't really. Yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the developer commentary. Thanks to everyone who's enjoyed this game, and it's absolutely amazing to see the response it's gotten. All the people who have inspired me are like saying it's great, and that's fucking insane. So thanks to everyone. Love ya.